Okay, so we have our enemies following us, and he's even pushing me. That's an angry skeleton. That's pretty cool though. So the idea is whenever I get closer to the skeleton on a radius, maybe even that sphere 8 location there, I can attack and be attacked. And that's kind of the idea that we have here. So how exactly we do that? Well, because this is going to be shared between players and creatures, the best bet would be to make this into the master. So let's go open the master and add a collision box that we're going to be using as a hit area. The hit box to figure out where exactly we're being attacked or attacking. So I'm going to go to my master ZD, open that up. I'm going to pull here in the top and go back to my viewport. And with my capsule component selected, I'm just going to go here and look for collision. You can do a sphere, you can do a box, or you can do another capsule. I think the box is just the easiest way. And I can just call this hit box. Since I'm going to have this thing there, I can just push this to the side in the direction of the... Actually, let me see. I want to make sure that I'm properly set up like this. Perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. And I don't think I even need the sphere anymore to see the direction, because the box will show up if you don't put heat in the game. If you disable that, you're gonna be able to see that box. So I'm just gonna compile, save, just so you can see what that means. It's right there. And you can see where my box is pointing, where the box that the creatures are pointing. It looks so cool rotating like this. So that's going to be the area of my attack. And I think that's fair for every single creature. So let's go back. Cool. So the way that this hitbox is set up is that when something goes, either the player or the enemy goes on it and overlaps with it, we're going to make sure that that is setting a command to cause damage. So that's good. I'm going to go back here, Ctrl Shift S, and I'm going to go to my master monster. Select my hitbox, go all the way down, and you're going to notice that we have something here called on component begin overlap. So you can press a plus. And what we need to do is make sure that we are going to apply this only on the player. So if I go to other actor and I say cast to PC player hero, that essentially takes care of that. So what we do now with PPC player hero, well, when it overlaps, when the monster hitbox overlaps with the PPC hero, and that is that box that we have there, we want to apply damage. There you go. So I'm gonna put a value here of 1, because when I was applying 0 damage, I'm gonna compile and save. But even if I play now, let's just save it again, I can take it there, nothing's happening. Okay, the reason for this is because we are creating that event, but we're not really applying this damage to anything. We need to make sure that the other creature or the player is in the receiving end of the damage that's being cast. So we're going to go back to Master ZD, Event Graph, and I'm going to look for any damage. So that's an event. And that should be enough. But what I want to do is, in order for us to make sure that this is working, I'm just going to go and do a print string and make sure that this is connected there. That will give me the amount of damage. This is just for debugging to make sure that this is working, because without that it's going to be very hard to figure out. And you can see on the top left there that I'm getting a lot of damage. I'm getting beaten, bro. Look at that. But it's working. So now the creatures are giving me damage, and that's pretty cool. But as you can see, I am taking a lot of damage, but nothing's happening, right? So what I need to make now is I need to create a way to count the damage, and let's say that I have 3 lives, and after a few hits, my character disappears or respawns. Okay, so last we stopped, we were printing the damage, but we still need to make sure that that's counting. So I'm going to go to my blueprint. I'm going to create a new folder, new components. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a health system that can be used for our NPCs and our players. Just going to go blueprint class, actor component, and we can just call AC health. Ctrl Shift F to save and double click to open. So you can see that this is a stripped down version of the other blueprint. What we're going to be doing here is that we're going to create some variables for the stuff that we need for calculating the health. So the first one is a boolean, and that would be is if the health is expired, the creature needs to be destroyed. So is alive. And because the boolean is a yes or no answer. Then we need to have the max health and the current health. You can change these ones for float. And Ctrl Shift S to save it. You can compile that too. When the game starts on begin playing, we want to make sure that we have the max health. So get, and we're going to make sure that that's set the current version of it. In order to change the amount of health that your character have, you just need to go here to max health and just update that number there. I'm going to put 3, just Legend of Zelda and all those games, there's always 3 hearts for the beginning. In order for us to calculate this, we need to create a function here. And this function is going to essentially calculate every time when you get hits, the amount of decreasing health that you're going to have. So we can just call this down health. Or damage, actually. I think it's a better way to do it. Damage. Health. Okay, so with that function there, I'm going to create a new input. And this input is going to be a vector, sorry, a float. And that's the amount of damage that I'm getting. We're going to compile and save. And what I want to do is get the current health minus the damage taken. But the order of the factors do affect this. So actually this needs to go here because it's this minus this. And so I'm going to try to organize this graph a little bit. Then I need to set my current health to be the result of this operation. And to make sure that I'm not going negative, what I'm going to do is just have a max float here. And that will force to stop reducing it once it reaches 0. And again, I'm going to say those famous words, if I did everything correct, I think this is going to work. Of course, I just forgot the most important thing. If the health comes to 0, what exactly happens? So I'm going to bring the is alive, I'm going to say set. And if the current health in get is less or equal, probably better, than 0, that is definitely that. Ctrl Shift S, compile, save again. I guess it's pretty much done. So what we're going to do now is go to the masters and we're going to add another component here. So the name of our component is AC health. So we can just search there and find it. And we can compile and save. And if I did this correctly, you should be able to see this into the other blueprint. So I'm going to go to my characters, skeleton, VPC skeleton, go to my characters again, slime, open also VPC slime. So if I select my AC health, I can tell that this slime health is going to be 1. I wanted to have a lot of them. Compile, save. For the skeleton, I'm going to put the health to be 2. Compile and save. I'm going to go again to the BP Masters ZD. I don't care about these anymore. So what I'm going to do right now is get my health. From here, I'm going to say damage, health, and I can just connect like this. Let's also move a little bit up. Make sure that we connect the damage to this. So what you can also do, just push this a little bit more. We need to set up a way to identify if that player is dead or not. We don't want it to be continue to receive damage if the player is dead. So what I'm going to do is create a branch here. And the condition that we're going to use. Yeah, my God, let me just move some of this down. So I have space to do what I need to do. I'll move this to the side here. And what I'm looking for is my AC health. Yeah, AC. And if I go to my AC health, what we set up was is alive. So I'm gonna pull from here is alive. I'm gonna use this as a target. So if it's not alive, wait, not that one. What we're looking for is the not boolean. I don't know why I typed not alive because I'm trying to talk as we're doing this. It's a little bit confusing. This is my least favorite part of this, folks. You have no idea. And that should be the condition. So if we do this check and I collect there as a condition, that means if it's dead, it doesn't do anything. If it's not dead, apply damage, which is kind of what we want to do. The next step is to add the animation. And I think what we have here is not really animation, but if we go to our characters, night, we do have a dead sprite that we're going to be using. So we're going to set up for that to be used and to respawn. Okay, so now that I have this set up, I just want to go to my blueprint, characters, VPC hero, and also open inside player hero my animation blueprint. So I'm going to go inside the state machine. And the way that I wanted this to work is I can create an animation state here and call it def, but then it's just going to be annoying. It's going to be a lot of work. So I saw some people online suggesting a way more clever way to do it. And the idea was instead of using a connection here with a state, we can just go and say jump, and we can change this to def. We're essentially repurposing that, create an animation state, and have that as player def. Double click. Then we just need to do what we did before, which essentially is pick the def state, which is the single flipbook that we had. I almost forgot. Make sure that this thing here is set not to loop, because there is no animation to loop whatsoever anyway. We can just compile and save. And if I go back to movement, I don't need to worry about connecting this because I'm going to call this into the actual blueprint, which is going to make my life so much easier. It's a very good tip that I found. So let's go back to the main where we set up our damage control. So the logic here is a little bit similar to this. So if I check my health and I'm defeated, I'm going to create a branch. I'm going to connect here. And that's the condition I'm putting here to calculate this. So the health is dead. It's no life anymore. And my animation component. get an instance. So I can just, after the fact, plug it here, the animation instance. And I'm gonna pull from this jump to nodes. And it's very important that we use the proper name here. So if this is true, connect here. And in ours, I already forgot what it was, but it's def. That's easy. Easy peasy. Because I don't have a state machine associated to it, we don't need to worry about that. You can just leave as is. If I did everything correct and I go back to my level and I play, you can see my character's walking, took a few hits, and then is on the death animation. He dies super fast, Jesus. But my bagger can still slide. We don't really want that. We want the bagger to stay there. So I'm gonna go to my blueprint for the hero. Which is right here. And I'm just gonna add here. How am I gonna do this? Let me think. I'm gonna get my health. And set to is alive. No, set get is alive. And not Boolean, which means it's not alive. If that's the case, let me push this down. Only after I evaluate that. So I'm gonna make a branch. Control click and drag, or just do this, do that. That's the condition. And I think this should be working. So let's test again. There you go. I'm pressing, but I can't move. Wow, the skeleton killed me right away. That's cool. So next, it's time to pay back.